All right, let's get this thing started. Welcome, welcome. Hopefully everyone had a good week so far. Just doing some Google sign-ins here. They always make you do like a multi-factor authentication. Takes forever. Alright, well tonight I'm going to be doing some more tower defense development here. During my last stream I did some flame towers, and we got the some of the core mechanics underway, which I'll showcase here shortly. Had a few bugs which I still need to fix, but got those into the game. Tonight, I want to work on some other towers, and here is the dashboard. So I might actually go across a couple of these depending on how much I get done. If it's a faster paced night, hopefully it is. All right, yeah, I'm just going to jump right into it. So tonight, I guess I said I would show what I covered last week. So let's do that. And let me also drag in some of my UI. For some reason, I dragged it off onto the side here, and that doesn't make it very easy to work with. Why did I do it this way? Pause button. I still need to figure out what I want to do with my UI. I think I'm going to take an entire session or a live stream and showcase getting the UI, you know, like the base artwork into the game. Like these buttons are all just coming from the GDevelop free asset store, and they look okay, but I'd like something a little more custom. And so I'm still trying to decide if I want to create those myself in terms of the artwork versus purchase an asset pack, and I'm leaning toward the latter just because there are people who make such fantastic art out there, and I have no problem paying for art. But what I'll tend to do is purchase an art pack and then slightly tweak it, drop it into GIMP or something, play with some of the shading or the tint or whatever, and make it a little bit my own. But anyways, yeah, so last week I added this fire, and which I just put my UI over. But essentially I drop the tower down, select my flame tower, and then whenever enemies are on the scene, it will do a flamethrower effect, and then every 9 seconds or so it'll launch a meteor toward them. And you can see that if they have been hit with fire, they will be ignited and they'll have a little flame on top of them. There goes a meteor right there, and it crashes and it makes a big fire on the ground. So it's just an AoE damage. And that right there is pretty much what I was hoping for in terms of the technical side of it. I run into bugs whenever I've got multiple on the scene, so that's for me to solve later on, not right now, because I don't feel like doing bugs. I feel like doing the more fun stuff. So going back to my sheet here, I was thinking either play around with the Arcane Tower and maybe the Ice Tower. And so the Arcane, I think it's going to be very similar in terms of how it launches. Let's say Arcane Bolts. It'll have multiple capabilities, but if one of those capabilities is an Arcane Bolt, for example, then if we have this Flame Tower shooting a meteor out the top, so it goes up the top. What it does is it'll technically tween the meteor up and then out to the enemy. I think for the Arcane Bolt, I'll just simply have it tween from the center of the tower itself. And there would be more of them than the meteor. So smaller bursts. And that would be... Let me double check which tower we actually have. I created these a while ago now. So it's actually kind of boring. So maybe I need to create a better tower for this one too. This is just a 3D asset from Windows Paint 3D, because I'm high tech like that, right? So ultimately I'll probably replace the art assets with something a little more fine-tuned, probably out of Blender. So that's what that one right there is. But let's go ahead and get the capabilities for the Arcane Bolts. So getting this started then, I want to create a new object. I'm going to go with a particles emitter. And this right here is what I was just already thinking about using. It is a purple, let's see which one. I think it's this one right here. Apparently I've got two of them. I'm going to delete one and pray to God I'm not using it somewhere that's depending on it. Okay, apply. Now this one, if I just drag it out into the middle of the scene, let's see what it looks like. Very dark. And what happens if we do... what happens if we drag that to the lighting layer, which is up above? Does it look any cooler? So it's a little more vibrant, I would say. Definitely missing something. It's missing a little something. Let's look into the particle emitter then. So it's using additive rendering. It has infinite particles, so it's just going to keep flowing, which is fine. It's only doing 2 particles per second. The particle maximum lifetime is 8 seconds. Looks like my webcam froze up. Having all sorts of technical issues tonight. Hopefully that's working now. Okay, so for the particle emitter, we're looking at 2 particles per second. What happens if we do a couple more? And that's moving from a start size of 0 up to 40, which is relatively large. What if we start at, say, particle size 10 and just go to 20? What does that do for us? I mean, honestly, it just looks like a purple blob. Seems like... So I also have a basic sort of bullet or a shot, and I'm wondering if I just attach that to a basic sprite, which is a bullet. Maybe that would actually do the effect that I'm looking for, and it might be simple enough. I'll just use a sticker, behavior, and yeah, let's just go for it. So going over to the events sheet here, let's figure out where I want to put this. See, normally I have this for the sort of basic tower bullets. So what I would do then is I would create a bullet, and then I would stick that arcane particle emitter to it. So let's go to the actual bullet here in my objects. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to call it, I guess, bullet arcane. Open that up. And I've got a few sprites in here. This one actually is one I used, so it looks terrible like that, but here it is. So this is one I used in a game jam quite a while ago now, and actually created it from scratch. So if I just drop that in there, so that's looking like 18 by 18 pixels, which is pretty small. That should work. Let me drag that animation upward. Mega point orb, that's fine. Now that would be, I would want that to loop. Okay, yeah, I'll have to replace this at some point. The edges are chopped off here, but let's just go for it. And then the bullet light should be fine. No, you know what? Let's make a unique bullet light as well. So I normally add a light behind each bullet so that as it travels across my dark scene, since this is a light versus dark game, I want it to be visible. In this case, let's change that to sort of a more purpley kind of light. And apply that. And we'll call that bullet arcane light. Okay, so those are in the game. And let's make these. Okay, that one is got the sticker behavior. And it is going to destroy outside of the scene. What about this light over here? Okay, it's got the sticker. We actually want that to destroy outside. It should destroy whenever the bullet itself is destroyed, but let's make sure that it does. We'll give that a little margin. Margin, not margarine. You know, growing up, I always thought margarine was butter, and then when people said butter is better than margarine, I didn't know what they were talking about, because I didn't know what margarine was. I just called it butter. Now I know that it's oil, not milk. All right, so what I'm going to do is go down to where the tower is upgraded. So that'll be a button click. Let me actually back this outward a little bit for myself for the moment. Okay. Upgrade a tower. Here we are. Make that bigger for you. Right here, whenever the purple button is clicked, and here's a bunch of stuff. And what I want to do with that stuff is, so it's creating a tower head 2. if I go back to my scene objects, I've been creating a unique tower head. The tower head is the center part. It sits on top of the tower base. That way I can have it rotate and spin independently of the tower base. Really just for cosmetic effect. And so in this case, I don't know what I want the actual tower head to look like. As I said, I'll probably rebuild the tower itself afterward, which I might do during the stream. But I want to maybe duplicate this one out. I'll call it Tower Head Arcane. And then I'll just tweak it a little bit. Maybe put like an effect on there to make it kind of purple. Let's do a... It has one effect on there called brightness, which of course makes it brighter. We can also do an outline. But let's do a glow. Let's try starting with a glow. And I'll make that glow, again, kind of a purple. I need to pick an actual RGB color that I can stick with, but let's just get it going, huh? Something like that. Okay. So now we have the tower head. We'll just use that same tower base. That'll be fine. So let's replace this tower head 2 with the arcane one. Like so. Oh, I need to add that to my tower heads group. Okay, so open my groups over here, go to the tower heads, and add that. Apply. I think I need to make a bullets group as well. Definitely could optimize some stuff if I did that. I made a bullets group, but I won't do that yet. I feel like I keep saying that, but there's so many different things, so many different directions. I need to just like stick with a direction and go with it. So, all right, let's see if when I create that tower, after I click the purple button, let's see if the tower head in the middle looks purpley. And it does. There we go. Let's save that. And then if I go to where the flamethrower tower is, some of this I want to imitate. Okay, so let me check something real quick. What would I call that? Towerhead Fire. So this would be Towerhead Arcane. And that would be purple, although I've been using purple comments for the enemies for some reason. So let me change this to something. Maybe give her a slightly pinker shade. Okay, so what I want to happen is it's going to have a range. So I guess I need to add a variable. So whenever enemies are within a certain range of it, it will shoot the bullet. So let me see which variables it has. It has an attack speed and an ID. Let me add range. That'll be a number, of course. And I guess let's start that out as... Ultimately, this might become a global variable. But let's try a really big range for now. Let's say 400. And then, yeah. And then I'd like to see that range, that radius. So for, let me do a for each Towerhead Arcane. This would be a for each object. For each of these, I guess we would unconditionally draw a circle. So let me do a draw circle. I guess we'll use shape painter, and we'll do that at Towerhead Arcane center X, copy that, center Y, and that would be, the radius would be will be the variable. So let me add the variable right here. That would be Towerhead Arcane range. Boom. Now that shape painter is over here. And so that these painter objects are part of the pathfinding behavior. And the pathfinding behavior for this one is the I don't know what else. I think I was using this one for the path, the enemy path navigation, but let me see if I can double this for this purpose. So that would be draw the shape relative to the object position on the scene, and then clear the rendered image between each frame. That might not be necessary, but let's see what happens here. Okay, and it is centering it way up there. Tell you what, let me change this. Let me duplicate this shape painter object. We'll do shape painter Arcane Tower. And then for that, let's make it a little bit transparent. So we'll drop the opacity down to say, let's say 150. Okay, and then also, if I uncheck draw shape relative to the object position, okay, that's still going up. Oh, I didn't change it at all. It would help if I actually call the correct thing. Test again. Okay, so we're still getting this, but tell you what, let me debug this real quick. Okay, refresh. So we should have shape painter Arcane Tower. It's saying 0. Interesting. Okay, let's figure out why it's not calling it. Let me log a message real quick. Let me just double check if it's creating it at all, like maybe for one frame or something, or not. It is calling it, it's just not drawing it here on the scene. So let me actually, I think I know why. I think that I need to like actually drag it out into the scene. I think. Yep, there we go. It's way too opaque though. Let's change that. Oh, because I only changed the outline opacity. Let's drop the fill opacity to 150. Apply. Give that a quick test. And once we have this in place, we'll know if it's firing at enemies within the proper range. So there we go. As soon as they enter that circle, they should be bombarded with arcane bolts. We just need to actually create those arcane bolts now. So repeat for each instance of Towerhead Arcane. Now I think when we check for the range between the enemies and the tower, we're going to do that on the enemy itself. I think. Let me double check. Let me think real quick. So we have multiple arcane towers, multiple enemies. We would have each enemy select the nearest arcane tower. Or should we have each tower select the nearest enemy? Lots of ways we could go with this. I mean, what if, like, for example, it could even fire at multiple enemies at the same time. Which might be interesting. Let's see if we can go that direction. I think I'm going to have to go up to the enemies, though, for that. A little bit of tea this evening. I'm taking a little 2-week fast from coffee because I drink too much. The headaches are unreal. Okay, let me just visualize this out real quick. Because what I'm trying to think about is the game design. Let's say we have, 3 of these towers out here, and each one is covering a radius. And then for each of those, okay, I think I know what I want to do. The damage will apply on the enemy side, but the bullet will occur on the tower side. So So I'm actually going to steal some of my own work here. I'm going to scroll down, borrow it from the Meteor Tower. Meteor. And I'm not sure that I need this tween right here. So this one right here, let's just do, if the number of enemies on the scene is greater than 0, pick the one that is nearest to the tower. Let me make this tower arcane. And so with that being the case, we would then want to create a bullet. The bullet arcane at position, Arcane Tower. Center X. I don't know why I have it on the bounding box. Okay. Same thing for the Y. Actually, I don't even know why I'm doing it that way. I probably want to just fire the bullet. So let me see here. It's been a minute since I actually used these. Yeah, this is the code I want right here. Let's do that. All right, go back down to wherever I was. Here we go. So I'm going to fire an arcane bullet from the Arcane Tower. And I just deleted my position, so this would be, again, the Arcane Tower. Something like that. Toward position. All right, so I need to actually collect the position of the enemies, of the enemy. And so that is where I need a variable for, let me think, it will go to, we'll put it on the tower head, I suppose. We'll call it nearest enemy X and Y. Go over here and then pick the enemy that's nearest. From here we'll do change the variable. Nearest enemy X and Y. And those are assigned the enemy's X and Y positions. And then we'll simply fire the bullet toward those positions. Oh, I see. So fire it toward Tower Head Arcane. Nearest enemy X. And then same thing for the Y. At a speed of 500, let's make that maybe 700, something like that. Now this will be, the bullet behavior is pretty straightforward, like literally. It goes from the tower in a linear pattern toward the target. So that means I can't tween the bullet, which would kind of be cooler, because then you could do like a gradual start or gradual finish. So I'll see if I like this, but let's see if we can get it working. We'll put that bullet on the base layer if it's not already. Okay, pick the enemy that's nearest. All right, let's test this out real quick. So it is shooting the bullets. It's firing twice, and that seems like a behavior that's left over from something they did before. So let me track that down. I think if I scroll down, I'm gonna find where that is. And that has to do maybe with the tower base. Not totally sure, because I did not intend for it to do that just now. I have a bunch of old stuff here that I scratched out. Also, I want to take the shape painter and make that less crazy. All right. Yeah, so what happens if we don't change the tower base? Will it still fire 2 at the same time? In other words, change the animation of the tower base. Let's test that real quick. Okay. Still firing 2. I mean, more is better, right? But I want to know why. What if I add... I could add a trigger once. And I also want to test if I'm actually controlling those arcane bullets right here. So let me change the speed to something like ridiculously slow. See how much control I actually have over it. Okay, call in some enemies. Okay, so they are going super slow. And it did trigger just once. But it still fired 2 at the same time. So let's get rid of that. We can increase the speed again. I wonder if it has something to do with the putting the bullet on the base layer. Probably not. No, definitely not. And it's fine, that bullet's going to be on the base layer anyway. I don't need to specify that. So then, what I want to do, let's also stick the magic particle to that. So Arcane light, stick to the arcane bullet. All right, and I think if I go back into that particles emitter, oops, wrong thing. Oh no, it's not a particle emitter, that's the light. We need that, and we also need the magic. I think I forgot to rename it. It's just the standard old magic particle emitter. That is fine. Delete when out of particles. It's using additive rendering. Yeah, let's give that a shot. We don't want the lifetime to be 8 seconds though. That should be pretty instant. Maybe like say like a quarter of a second to a second. See what happens there. If you're shooting a bullet, that's actually a really long time. So it might actually create a trail. Could be neat. Yeah, let's just mess around and find out. Let me rename it though, so I know where to find it. We'll call it, I don't know, particle, arcane. Shot. All right. Did I make that one? I need to add the sticker behavior to that one as well. And I guess the destroy when outside of the scene, but that should happen anyway. Destroy when the object it's stuck on is destroyed, and it will follow the position. Yes. Okay, let's add both of those to our bullet to make it stand out more. Particle, arcane shot, stick that one to the bullet. Okay. It would probably help if I actually create those as well. Create those at the bullet's center location on the base layer. And same thing for the arcane light. So create them first and then stick them. And let's slow that down a little bit. See, let's say maybe 400 pixels per second, and give that a quick test run. Okay. Not working quite as intended. But they are still triggering whenever enemies enter this radius here. Let me try changing something here. If we don't do the additive rendering, and also pull up the debugger. All right, call in the enemies. Okay, it's actually firing way sooner than I was hoping for. So let me pause that. It looks like it's infinitely creating these lights. That is the... Oh yeah, so that's not good at all. That is a problem. It's creating many of these lights. So let's see. Now if I go to the previous location where I was using bullets before, I had done all of this before, and I solved it, and I have since then forgotten it, so the knowledge is lost. But what I want to do is just make sure that I'm not creating an infinite number of lights and particles on the bullet. I just want it to occur once. So I'm thinking that fire the bullet. Do a trigger once down here, hopefully. Move all of these. Okay, it's definitely only triggering once. Like literally once. Let me scroll down over here on the debugger. Pause that game real quick. Yeah. So just one of the... Actually, just 5 of the bullets are on the scene. None of them have any of the effects. Pause that again, take a look at the numbers over here. Yeah, we got 4 bullets and no effects. So, what do you think? I need to solve why it's splitting out into 2 bullets at all, because that's not the intent. It's kind of neat, and I'd like to be able to do that if I want to, but I don't want to. And I think I remember now. If I go to the bullet itself, go into the behavior, well, you ever get that feeling like you know the answer to something and then you totally don't? I never actually added the behavior to it. That might be problematic. Let's cancel that out. How was I doing it with the standard old bullet? Yeah, that doesn't have the behavior either. It was something else that had the behavior. Maybe it's in the tower base. No. Oh, it's in the tower head. Here we go. Here is the answer. We found it. Number of bullets created at once. 2. Let's just set that to 1 to make the testing simpler. It was that simple, people. It was that simple. The bullet behavior was tied to the tower head itself. And we can definitely play with these numbers as we go, like for example the tower upgrades, but not right now. If we preview this again, we should get a single bullet being fired at a time. Not very accurate. I mean, it's accurate, but it's slow, so that's why it's missing the enemy. But that's fine. And also, I need to plug in this light up here. 1 second. There we go. Don't have all the lights on in my room, but my little LED light was not plugged in. It was dying. All right. All right, let's just use a variable to make sure that it doesn't create infinite effects. So if I go to the bullet, the arcane bullet, let's do a variable. We'll call it, oh, it already has one. The bullet has light is false. See, this is traces of my old work. I did this once and I'm gonna reuse it. So we'll do if that variable is false, then do these things and make sure we change that variable. To true. Boom. And test. All right, there we go. Now, if we actually were to speed that up, let me think. Yeah, speed that up so that it has a chance of even hitting the enemies. But then also, I want to fix the range because it has a broader range than that circle I'm showing you. So and also I'm going to try well, never mind. I had a thought, but it was not important. For the Tower Head Arcane, we're drawing that circle with a radius of Tower Head Arcane range. And then we're picking the enemies that are nearest. Okay, this is why, because we're not actually checking for enemies inside of that range. So pick the enemy that is nearest. We should probably do a sub-event here. Well, no, we could do it right here. So we'll make this a sub-event. And then we'll do if distance, not range. If the distance between that enemy and the tower is within range. There we go. So yeah, then do all of these things. And let's test that. So the bullets should be faster and the range should be accurate to the purple circle. There we go. Now let me get rid of the color. We know that the range is working now, and hopefully it stays working. Let me get rid of the circle that's being drawn, or at least make it invisible. Let me think. No, I'll just disable it. I don't want... Okay. I don't want it performing expensive operations that I don't need. But I will keep it down here and disable it for later if I need it for troubleshooting. Then let's make the particles look kind of prettier. Because I think what's happening right now is it's leaving like a couple splotches of the particles. If we watch the path. So you can see right there. Here, let me wait for this other one to come in range. That was kind of a bad example. Let me try that again. So right now, if I pull up the... it looks like there are two of these tower heads in here too. I need to check that out. Alright, call in the troops, and then once it fires the bullet, I'm going to pause it. And we can see there's like 1, 2, 3. It might be cooler if it left a trail, you know. Maybe a thinner but more persistent trail. So that will be all about the particle itself. So if I go to that particle, I need to add these to a folder together. Okay, go to this. we would actually want more of them. So if it's doing 700 pixels a second, I think my scene is 720 by 1280. We would need more of them. I'm just trying to think of how many. Let me check. Turn the background noise down a bit here. Checking something with my stream here real quick. Oh yeah, my chat wasn't working on OBS, but it's working on YouTube Studio. That's kind of odd. How you doing tonight, Riley Parker? Apply that. Let's test this out and just see if it's ballpark what we're looking for. Yeah, that's more Arcane right there. Kind of a magical pixely kind of trail. Yeah, how's the audio? Is the music too loud? It seems like it's too loud. Any better now? Let's call in some more troops here in the meantime. Alright, so it seems to be working. What happens if we have multiple towers on the scene at the same time? What kind of bugs do we run into? Call in some more enemies. Alright, seems to be working as intended. Obviously, we can add the damage now on the enemy side of things. Okay, seems like the audio is working better now. I need to reconfigure my OBS. It's giving me a lot of BS. But that's all right. And I was sitting in a restaurant for lunch today, and they were playing Bob Ross, and he is my hero. He just turns all of his mistakes and problems into happy little birds or whatever. Happy little bush, happy little cloud. And I wish I had his patience when it came to making stuff myself. All right, what we're looking for here is for the enemy updates, enemies and flame tower. This would be one for add an event below. And then add a comment. So this would be for, this is under each repeat for each instance of enemy. And so this would actually be a check on the bullet itself. So we will do distance between two objects. So if the distance between the enemy and the arcane bullet, oops, if I can type, oh, wrong thing. Move that up here. Arcane bullet, arcane. And the distance would be I'm not exactly sure. Let's say 100 pixels. Which is pretty generous because that's really going to be a 100 pixel radius. So it would be a 200 pixel circle if you wanted to think about it that way. Then we will apply damage, which I think I can just copy one of those from up here. So we would apply 1 point of damage. Might even say like 2 points of damage. And then we have options like, do we want this damage type to be reduced by shield? I would say probably not. Or maybe by shield, but not by armor. And then we would delete the bullet. All right, let's test that out. So we should be damaging enemies now. Also, I want to delete that fireball off the scene. It's kind of annoying. Okay. All right, call in the troops here. Boom. It is impacting. So the damage is reduced by shield. It should be reducing the shield though. Okay, now it's going through. It's because it's regenerating shield as it goes. But I think the shield number isn't reflecting. So let me pull that up as a thing I need to correct later on. So I'm going to go over here and pull up my bugs to address later. Shield, enemy shield number, or enemy shield text rather. Okay, so that is something to address later on, but it is actually damaging the enemies, which is good. All right, I'm pretty happy with that actually. So, not bad at all. Obviously, I need to add sounds. I'm going to do sounds way later on. I'm making them in the meantime, and if you're following along, you can actually grab some sound packs that I'm putting on my Patreon page. Some of those are going to be available for free. So I'm creating some grab bags of sound effects that I'm creating myself. And yeah, so feel free to join up as a free member, or you can pay the $5 a month thing for monthly grab bags that I throw up there. And that's going to be composed of like 2D art assets usually and sound effects that I've used either in this project or others from the past. And I'm just making those available to you all. Totally free in terms of beyond the Patreon fee, it would be free for you, as well as free of royalties. I don't care how you use them. I hope you get rich. What I want to do next then is not overly fancy, but the way I've created some of these towers, if you watched some of my other streams, was out of Paint 3D. And so until I finalize how I want to use these, in like Blender and make some really good ones, I'm just throwing in a couple from a 3D library here. So I wanted to make something that looks a little more like an Arcane Tower than my base one. So for example, if I throw this tower cap out here, and I'm sorry for the flashbang on here. Maybe I can make the canvas darker. Don't show the canvas. Anyway. I guess I can move that text out of there. So, for example, if I put this on the scene, and then put a base underneath it. Let's say yeah, that one right there is my basic tower. So the way I created that was I just dragged it out here. I got my angle, but I don't want to use that for this particular one. Not sure I like where this is going. Let's not use that. For reasons. All right, let's just gotta move on here. All I want to do is add a topper to this tower, and yeah, I really don't like this tool anymore. It's not working too well. All right, let's see then. If I take that, let me double check what the size was. So if I go, for example, to the tower base, or even one of these other ones. What size are we talking? We're talking 96 by 96. So let me go to my canvas here, and we will show the canvas now. It will be transparent. We'll do 96 by 96. Lock the aspect ratio. And let's shrink this down. Oops, not that. We're going to shrink this down to fit inside the canvas. Okay, if I can get my aspect ratio correct. Select all, shrink that down. Again, really just placeholder art, but I would like it to look different so that when the time comes to swap out the animation selection, it'll be built in and it's not all hinged on like the basic animation. So it makes sense if you don't think about it. Okay, let's go ahead and export this. That'll be transparent background, 96 by 96. Save, and we will save that right there in our assets. We'll call it, well, let me double check. I have a naming convention here. Tower base. That would actually be number 0, 1. It'd be tower base tier 1. So if I add that sprite in there, okay, that was not the correct one. There must be an old asset in here. So let me rename the file. There's something that GDevelop does where it stores all assets used, uploaded to the project. But rather than trying to delete that out right now, I'm just going to rename my file. I'm assuming that was the issue. There we go. Okay, and apply. So now let's see if that works. Not quite. So what we need to do is tell the game whenever the tower is upgraded to select that animation. Right here. And now test. Okay, that is in fact working. Seems like we need to shrink that tower head down a bit so we can actually see the tower a little bit. So let's do, we can scale that in the game where it is created. Okay, Arcane. There it is. Okay. Actually, sorry, that was the wrong spot again. Go back up. Yeah, right here, we'll scale it. So, tower head arcane, scale, and let's set that to, I don't know, 0.7. And let's see what that looks like. Yeah, we can see it a little bit better. It'll do for now. So what I'm thinking about right now is the fact that the particles do exactly what I want them to do while they exist, but because of the sticker behavior, once the bullet that they're stuck to is deleted, they are then all deleted. Not only is the particle emitter deleted, all existing particles in the scene are deleted, which is kind of annoying. So I'm going to add that. I think it's going to take a little bit of creativity, and I have some ideas for how to approach that, but I'll need to do some testing on it. So I'm not going to dig into that here. So let me pull up the old text and add that to my list of things to do. Arcane particles. Deleting, I guess. So that'll be something to look into. And what else are we going to do here then? Going back to our dashboard here, we've got the arcane bolts. Those are mostly in the game. Base shield regen. So base shield regen would be something I haven't done yet, but I do have an idea for the base, for the player base, the home to have its own shield, which is exactly what it sounds like. The enemies would basically hit against that instead of hit against your life points or, you know, the light. Do I know what I want that to look like? No. But I think it's going to be pretty simple in terms of the appearance. What else could we do? We could work on the ice tower. And we could do freezing bolts, which would be pretty similar to how we just did the arcane bolts. Not that I want them to be too copycat, but could get them in pretty quickly. Now, the slow cloud AoE. I think that's actually in the game already, technically. So let me double check. Slow, or maybe ice. We have an enemy. Oh no, we have ice cloud enemies, which can slow towers, I believe. Now let me see here. Yeah, I think we don't actually have anything for the ice tower, so we could do that. Let's see if we can do that real quick. I've got about 20 minutes left here. So if I take a lot of what we just worked on and apply it to the ice tower, which would be the light blue, the cyan. So we need to start by creating a tower head for that. Now I'm going to duplicate the one we just made. I'm going to call it tower head ice. Open that up. Go over to the effects. We don't want the glow to be purple. In this case, let's just give it this kind of a glow. Apply this. It should have all the same variables. So we'll be good to go on that. And it will have, instead of a bullet arcane, it'll have bullet ice. And we'll need to add a sprite in for that. Let's double check the asset store, see if there's any sort of like an icicle, something like that. Okay, there is something. In fact, I think I did use this for a spike growth thing. But I think I could use this. So let me grab that, and so we've got number 3, number 4. Where's number 0? 1. Yeah, let me refine the search pick. There's 1, there's 2 is there. It's like the end of the day, so everything's kind of cross-eyed right now, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know why they go in this order. It's kind of annoying. Let's just start with 1. I don't know that there is a 0. So not there. This is one of the areas that I would be happy if it was tweaked by GDevelop, because I'm not aware, unless any of you are, I'm not aware of a way to select multiple out of the asset store at one time. If you are aware, let us know in the comments below. That would be very helpful. So until then, I'm just going to keep doing the old-fashioned way of selecting these one at a time. So we need number 4. I got to squint to try to figure out which one that is. There it is. 5, 6. Then we're going to jump to 10. Up top there. Nope, not from the device. Some of these are rotated, and I think it has to do with something I did previously. So if you're watching this, live, then you might have already hit the notification bell. But if you're interested in following along any more of my live streams, definitely hit the YouTube notification bell so that you get that alert that will tell you when I've planned a live stream. And I'd be happy to have you join because I like to chat with people. And if you have any questions about GDevelop, or if you have any suggestions for my game, or if you just like to hang out, I'm happy to have you along. And so for that reason, that little notification button can be useful. And I am almost done getting all of these sprites in here. It's actually a lot more frames than I would have expected for a simple sort of icicle, but it should look cool. I need to rotate some of these. If I take, let me think. Which ones? If I hold Alt and then click on the rotation, it will rotate clockwise. We only have like 5 of those, so it's not a big deal. And we get the little preview up here. Oh, nope. It's trying to open a thing. All right, let me save this. I think it's going to mess something up, but I'll just save them all. Okay, now if I loop that and then I preview, maybe make it smaller. It's not too terrible for a projectile. Let me check the collision masks. Now this is for bullet ice. I don't really need different animations, so let me get rid of all these other things. Yeah, that is not the collision mask I want at all. Jeez. That is ugly. Yeah, we can make it relatively generous here. Let's try that, shall we? Close and apply. Alright, so what time do we have here? Alright, technically I've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes to do all of this. So here I go. Go into the events. And instead of this tower head 3, we're going to do tower head ice. And let me double check. Let me double check what we actually have when I pop up this tower. Okay, that's good. Now I need to take that tower head and add that to the groups. Apply. And then add a comment. Where did my comment go? Drag the comment down here, and what I'm going to do is I've copied everything I just did for the Arcane Tower right here. Let me change the color of this thingy. Like that. And then for each of these, that would be tower head ice. So for each tower head ice, if the number of enemies on the scene is greater than 0, pick the enemy that is nearest to, basically just replacing the word arcane with ice at this point. So that makes it pretty simple to reuse this. I do need to change the name of a variable though, I think. Oh, no? No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's working pretty well. So, tower head, ice. Then bullet, ice. So let me disable this part. Now what it should do is actually, it should actually fire this thing. I think I'll need to make it face forward, but let's see what happens so far. If it doesn't crash. All right, so I select that button. It changes to this kind of an ice flower. Send in the enemies. Oop, that was definitely the wrong one. Let me check something. It didn't look like it was firing. Oh, this is why. I was creating the bullet at a tower that didn't exist. We're gonna get this, people. Home stretch. Now I could have done something where I just changed the animation of the already existing bullet. That's definitely an option. But I imagine I'm going to do a lot more customization on this as I move forward, which is why I want them to be separate entities, not just a separate animation. But that is definitely an option. So that's why I deleted all those other animation options out of this ice bullet. I'm going to slow it down a bit too. I know it will not be ideal going slow, but let's, all right. Tower head ice, center X, ice, center Y, ice, and ice. All right. Test. 3 minutes. There we go, and they are facing forward, so that is good. Could even scale it up. Don't know how good that would look, but let's test it. Scale, let's just say, let's make it huge, or pretty big. Let's double it. So it is animating. That's what I'm checking for right here. Could definitely add like a little particle on that, which I guess I could do pretty quickly here. So add new object. Let's go to particle emitters. We'll do something pretty basic like pixie dust. Let's edit that we'll call it particle ice shot. And then let's see, minimum lifetime 0.2, maximum lifetime, I don't know, let's say 0.4, pretty short. Particle start size is 10. I don't even know how big it's going to be. Let's just give this a shot. It does not need to be 1,000 though. Let's make that like 50. Apply. And then what we'll do, of course, for that is we'll need to stick it. And just to be safe, let's destroy that if it's outside of the scene with a margin of, say, 100. Apply. Then here we will undisable this. If the variable has light of the bullet is false, we're going to create that particle. So particle ice shot at position, well, the center of the bullet. And then, yeah, I was also creating a light. We can probably use, let's create a new light real quick. So this will be Arcane light. Let's duplicate that one just so I can change, oops, the color. So this is the home stretch, people. Getting these effects onto this icicle particle or projectile, and then we will have reached our goals for the night. So for this one, oh, right here. We just want to change the color here. Apply. And then, so that should already be, yeah, sticky. Go over here. We're going to add that light to it. So once we get this in the game, we're going to have our arcane projectiles and our icicle projectiles. Okay. Let's test this. We've added both a light source and some particles to the icicle. Yeah, I mean, it's got a little more something, right? Just a little more something. So these, basically in this game, I imagine any sort of fire damage has a chance to ignite. Any sort of ice damage has a chance to slow or freeze. I'm pretty happy with that effect. So what I'm going to do I'm on the 2-hour mark, 4 minutes over, but that's all right. It was 4 minutes of polish. Let me just take the damage that I did for the arcane shot. Basically do the same exact thing for the icicle for now. And we're gonna call it a night. So let me find that spot right up here. Right here. Simple one-liner. Copy and paste that down. Let me add a comment on that. That'll be the enemy and ice tower. Drag that down. And then basically if the enemy is within 100 pixels of the ice bullet, it's not really a bullet at all. And then we will add 2 points of damage. That damage can be reduced by shield and probably can be reduced by armor. And then we'll delete the ice bullet. So let's give that a quick test, make sure that it's applying damage and also deleting itself. And then we'll call it a pretty successful start to our ice tower. Boom. So that this enemy has shield, which I need to fix the shield number, but because it's not actually 0. So that is actually operating as intended in terms of the damage that was taken. So yeah, we're happy with that. Rough around the edges, but a successful night. So let me go over here to my handy dandy dashboard, and we can strike through the freeze bolts. That is 2 items off that list. And I'm happy to see these pieces slowly being checked off, because once I get these into the game, I'll have sort of a baseline for basically the rest of the game. Because we have a lot of the enemies that we want in the game already, all the basic ones, and this would be all of the basic towers and their capabilities. So from there we could really start to fine-tune the game. So that's the end of this stream. If you joined, thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comments below if there's anything you'd like to see me implement, if you have any ideas for these tower defense types. And if you have any suggestions for anything I did wrong or anything that I could improve upon, I'd be happy to hear your thoughts. And so, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great day or night, whatever time it is for you. For me, it is night, and definitely time for bed. So